whiskey lovers, and welcome to another one of Mark's Whiskey Ramblings. And today I would like to talk to you about a grain whiskey. Grain whiskey is usually distilled in tall column stills or coffee stills, as they are known, named after Ennius coffee, or continuous stills even, and they are usually used as packers for blends. So a blend consists of some grain whiskey and some single malt whiskies. Grain whiskies are usually the bulk of a blend, not necessarily, and depending on the level of blended, depending on the amount of grain that goes into your blend, you will get different kinds of blends, obviously. And let me just put that out there: a blend is not necessarily inferior to a single malt. I'll just leave that there. But there are not many official releases of grain whiskey. You usually have to look out for an independent bottler like this one, for example. This is a grain whiskey from The Ultimate, which is actually a label from a Dutch company called Van Wees, a Dutch company, a Dutch independent bottler that does all sorts of whiskies from all over Scotland. Their label, The Ultimate, is usually at 46%, but they also have a few that are, as you can see here, at cask strength. This, for example, is a Port Dundas. Did you know that Port Dundas Distillery was actually founded in 1811 by Daniel MacFarlane? But in 1813, only 2 years later, another company called Goulier Co, they built a second distillery on the same industrial area north of Glasgow, and that was called Port Dundas Distillery as well. Today that would be quite impossible, of course. The Scottish Whisky Association prohibits two distilleries of having the same name. Remember that Clynelish 2 became Brora. Remember that Glengrant 2 became Caperdonich. Well, this could not be done today, but in 1865, Port Dundas from MacFarlane and Port Dundas from Brown Goulier and Company, they merged into the distillery that we see today. In 1865 they merged, but in 2009 the distillery closed. So this is basically, Port Dundas is a lost distillery. For many years it was a very important part in the famous Ballantine's blend, for example, but since its closure that has been replaced with Strathclyde grain whiskey. Anyway, what I will be trying today is the Port Dundas 1995 from the Dutch company Van Wees under the Ultimate label, 1995, and it was bottled in 2019, January 2019. Right, this is a single cask number 64,904 worth. This is a single cask, 59.4% ABV, and since it was distilled in 1995 and bottled in 2019, that makes this a 23 years old grain. Right, let's give this one a go. As you can see, it's got this beautiful, it's a dark golden going on to amber. The beads come down rather quickly, in my opinion. They do not really cling to the glass, so probably a rather light-bodied single grain. Let's find out on the nose. Well, this is a classic, very sweet nose on caramel, butterscotch, toffee, Werther's Original, you know what I mean. I also get some farmer's butter, making it quite creamy. But then I get some nice notes of banana candy and coconut. Some milk chocolate with a hint of marzipan and some wild flowers. It's actually quite nice. Quite pleasant indeed on the palate. Very creamy. It clings to your teeth. Whoa. But despite the ABV of 59.4%, the arrival is quite soft, quite smooth, but it's quite spicy as well. I get some cinnamon and white pepper, some ginger and licorice, but it's very sweet. It is sweet with a vengeance. I get truckloads of caramel and chocolate and some vanilla ice cream. This is actually a liquid dessert on the finish then. pleasantly long. It's warm and drying and, well, obviously sweet, 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 sweet until the death. Nice. This is not, I'll be honest, this is not a grand whiskey, not by any means, but it is a very lovely grain whiskey indeed. This is it's what I call a card player's whiskey. Put this on the table with friends while playing a board game or cards or even watching some telly. Before you know it, the bottle will be empty. That's the kind of whiskey this is. This single grain, single cask Port Dundas, 23 years old, 1995, from the Ultimate at 59.4%. You can still find it left and right, and it is a very pleasantly, dangerously quaffable single grain. And that's all for this Whisky Rambling, and I hope to see you at one of Mark's Whisky Ramblings real soon. Until then, may the grain be with you.